Taking a test online for the first time can be a stressful experience for some. This tutorial will help to eliminate barriers that might cause you trouble when testing online and will provide some tips and best practices for testing. Before you start the test, there are certain steps that you can take before you even begin an online test. 1. Be certain that you're ready to take the test and set aside time in which you will be free from interruptions before you even click on the link to begin the test. Most tests can only be accessed once, and when you click on the link to start the test, you will not be able to come back and finish it at a later date. Also, find out the dates that the test will be available in the course and don't wait until the last minute to take the test. Most tests will be available only during a certain time period, so look closely at your course syllabus to find out if there's a deadline for taking the test. A good practice is to take the test at least 24 hours before the actual deadline. This way, if you run into any problems, you'll still be able to find a solution before the due date. It's also important that you find a reliable computer, and once you start a test, finish it without leaving. Use a reliable computer with a high-speed internet connection like DSL or cable if possible. Leaving a test that you have started can cause you to be locked out of the test, so once you start a test, plan on finishing it. Also, please note that we do not recommend testing on a cell phone, as connectivity can cause problems during your test, so it's best to use a reliable computer with a wired connection whenever possible. You'll also want to take steps to help prepare your computer for working properly with Blackboard. Be sure to close down all other programs running on your computer. Do not take a test with other applications running in the background, such as movies, music, emails, or instant message programs. Also, you'll want to disable your pop-up blockers for the course website. You need to add bb.alvincollege.edu to your trusted sites. Pop-up blockers can be found in various places on your computer, including pop-up blocking software, antivirus software, Yahoo and Google toolbars, so be sure to disable all pop-up blockers prior to beginning the test. It's also a good idea to make sure your computer is free of viruses or spyware by running antivirus or anti-spyware software regularly. You're also going to want to make sure that you have the minimum Blackboard system requirements before starting any test. The easiest way to do this is to click on the Browser Check tool, which is located at the top of the Blackboard login screen. Let's talk a little bit about your internet connections. For those of you on dial-up, if you use a dial-up modem to connect to the internet, turn off call waiting, and if you use the same line for voice calls, make sure no one picks up on the phone and disconnects you from the internet while your test is in progress. If you're using a wireless solution for taking a test, you should check that you have a strong, reliable connection. If no connection is established or the signal is weak, move the computer closer to the wireless access point or use a computer with a wired line instead. It's also important that you consider the browser that you're going to use. At this time, Firefox, the latest release, Chrome, the latest release, and the latest release of Safari are the best browsers to use when working with Blackboard. Please do not use Internet Explorer. It does not work well with Blackboard. Another important thing when taking tests online is to be sure to read the instructions for your test carefully. Each Blackboard test can be set up differently by your instructors. The options for each test will be listed at the top of the instructions area. It is very important that you read your instructor's directions very carefully. You need to know that some tests can be taken more than once, while others can only be taken once. The test instructions will inform you if the test can be taken more than once. Some tests may require that they be completed in one sitting, while some tests may allow you to complete one section and then return at a later time to finish additional sections. Most tests are timed. Your instructor will tell you if the test is timed and the time allotted. While Blackboard will not stop the test after the allotted time has elapsed, it will record the time spent on the test. Your instructor may penalize you if more time was taken than what they were allotted for the test. Some tests are all-at-once assessments, allowing you to access the entire test and move freely from item to item. Some tests, though, are one-at-a-time assessments and will only show you one question at a time, and you may not even be able to return to a previous question if you've already answered the question. It will only allow you to move forward to the next question. So again, it's important that you read the test instructions very carefully. Now let's talk about some of the best practices that you can use during a test. So during a test, do not double click when you start the test. After clicking on the link to start a test, wait until the test has completely loaded before answering any questions. If you double click on the link to a test, Blackboard reads the first click as an attempt to take the test and the second click as the second attempt, and therefore will block the access. You'll then need to contact your instructor. Be sure to not open any other window, surf the net, or visit any other websites while you're taking a test, or your work may be lost. Do not click outside the test area during exams, such as clicking on the announcements or course materials button. Clicking outside the test area will cause Blackboard to kick you out of the exam before you've even completed it. Also, do not click the back button or the refresh button on your web browser. Use the arrow keys to navigate within the test. Using the back button can kick you out of the exam prematurely. Instead, use a scroll bar to move back to check earlier questions. Please do not click Submit, Next, or Save more than once. It may take a few minutes to receive confirmation or to move to the next question, but clicking more than once can actually slow down the loading and can also cause testing errors. Also, do not close the window of a test for any reason until you have officially clicked Submit and received a confirmation that your test was accepted. Some other ideas that you can do when you are taking your test are: 1. When using a mouse with a scroll wheel, be careful when you're scrolling. Always click a blank area on the test before using the scroll wheel. This will ensure that you do not inadvertently change an answer on the test. If you have a test that involves essay questions, you can copy your essay answers to a text file or Word document so that you'll have a backup in case of technical issues. Also note that Blackboard will time out and close your session after 30 minutes of inactivity. Typing in the text box does not count as activity. If it will take more than 30 minutes to type your response for an essay question, then it's a good idea to copy your essay answer to a text file and then paste it back into the text box in Blackboard if this is allowed by your instructor. Another important practice is to save your work often during the test using the Save button. While taking an online test is a good idea to save your work periodically. To save your test answers, you can either save each question individually by clicking on Save on the right, or by scrolling to the bottom right of the screen and clicking on the Save button every 4 to 5 questions. When you have answered all of the questions, you should review your answers and then click on Save again. Only click the Save button once. Wait for the screen to reappear, then continue. If you do not see a Save button, you may need to maximize the test screen by going to the right corner of your browser and clicking on the middle of the 3 icons. Also, be sure to answer all of the questions and check your answers before completing the test. If you do not see all of the questions, you may need to maximize the test screen by going to the top right of the test screen and clicking on the middle of the 3 icons. Now, after you've completed your test, you'll want to review all of your answers before you actually submit the test. Make sure that you have not accidentally changed your responses to a question or made any typographical mistakes. Then save your work one final time. Also, be sure to click the Submit button when you are done with the test, or you will not get credit for your answers. The Save button will save your work, but only the Submit button will submit your test and allow your work to be graded. You will receive confirmation that your test has been submitted successfully after you click the Submit button. And once again, be sure to only click the Submit button once. It may take several moments for your test to be submitted successfully, so do not click Submit more than once. Also, do not close your browser or exit the test until you receive a confirmation from Blackboard that it has been successfully submitted. Now, after your test, there may be some issues that you have had. So what do you do if you get locked out of a test while you're in the middle of it? Or what if you receive a message saying that you've already completed the test or that the test is still in progress? You're going to need to contact your instructor. If your instructor resets the exam for you to take again, this will clear out any answers you've entered previously, and you'll unfortunately have to start your test over again from the beginning. After the test, you may also want to look at your grades. If the instructor allows it, you can view your grades by clicking on Tools, then My Grades. If the test involves essay questions, the test must be manually graded by the instructor before the students can view their grades, so it may take several days to be able to view these submissions. If you'd like to experience taking a test online to see how it works, click on the Try It link in the course menu in Blackboard of this course and take a practice test. You can take this test over as many times as you would like to feel free for how online testing might work. I hope that some of these tips and best practices will help you feel better prepared for taking tests online.